What's going on, guys? It's Unchained here, and this is a Should You Buy video for Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. No, it doesn't have Lord of the Rings in the title, although it is in the Lord of the Rings universe. It has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. It's got a couple of characters from the movies that you will see in this game. They make some cameos, and they do mention characters like Ratbag and that goblin guy or whatever. That says, "My precious." Like, it's not the actual voice actor from the movie, but it sounds close enough to be authentic. When I first picked up this game, I wasn't sure what to expect. I actually pre-ordered it before I read any reviews, and coincidentally, the game actually got reviewed really well, and I was happy about that. When I first turned the game on, it was late at night. I was playing Destiny for a while, wasting my time grinding for armor, and I only had about a half hour to play this game. So I'm like, alright, I just want to turn it on and see what I think of it. Let me just give it a try. Off first glance, to be completely honest, I wasn't amused. I didn't like how they just threw you in this open world and expected you to go do stuff. Stuff that isn't really explained all that well. As you go through the game, you get more tips as to how the Nemesis system works and what certain items do when you pick them up, or what missions to accomplish, like what each marker means on the radar, or the mini-map, rather. But it's hard to really tell what you're supposed to be doing, and for me, in open-world games, I need some sort of direction. I don't want to just run to waypoints. That's sort of what I hated about Destiny. I don't want to feel like I'm just going from point A to point B and wasting my damn time. Once I understood about how this game works, like what's going on in the background with the AI and things like that, it became a lot more fun. It also helps that it borrows a lot of mechanics from Batman and Assassin's Creed. Now, I'm not saying that it's a straight ripoff here. It does have a lot of the same movements and a lot of the same combat. You'll see in the combat here, it's a lot like Batman, how the Y button icon will come up and you need to hit that to deflect, and you hit A to jump over their backs, which I actually don't do too often on these early Uruk enemies. But most of it is just kind of, I don't want to say a hack and slash, but you definitely do need to watch your timing, just like Batman. Right there's a really cool execution. Those can be executed once you get your combo meter up a little ways and you hit Y and B at the same time, or I'm playing the Xbox One, otherwise for the PlayStation, be triangle and circle. And it executes these really cool moves. And there's actually enough animations out of the gate that it doesn't really feel like you're seeing the same things over and over, which is nice. It kind of has a little bit of resemblances to Rise with the finishing moves. And no, I'm not comparing it to a bad game. I mean, I personally like Rise, but when I say it's a little bit like Rise, don't get nervous. I just mean with the executions. This game feels really good when you attack things. The combat is actually part of what keeps me coming back to it. It's just so satisfying. And towards the end of this video, you're going to see a glimpse of the upgrade screen. And there's a ton to upgrade. I'm almost choked for a minute. Yeah, bad allergies and a little bit of a cold, so my throat every so often. So, you have 3 weapons off the bat. You have a bow, a longsword, and a broken short sword, which, if you know anything about the Lord of the Rings lore, as I've just been filled in with my cousin here, the broken short sword is the only thing that can kill Sauron. So that's why you have that. It's mainly your stealth weapon. When you hold the right trigger, you crouch like I'm doing here. And it's luckily very easy to get around people. I'm not a huge fan of stealth in games in general because I feel like it's not explained, and early on it will be some trial and error. It's hard to understand how the AI functions until you play for a while. It took me quite a bit of attempts, many deaths, and failed missions to realize you could essentially just run away from them and they'll ignore the shit out of you, and you can go right up behind him and assassinate and one-hit kill. It's definitely a lot easier than the doom, 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 X button, X button, X button fights that Batman is known for. That's kind of the reason why I wasn't a huge fan of Batman. I never felt like I was really doing damage to my enemies, and it just seemed like you had to hit them too much before they went down, until later when you eventually realize you need to get your combo up and start using the leg-breaking moves. It's very similar in this game. If you just run around slashing with a regular X button slash, it takes quite a while, at least out of the gate. And there's one of the resemblances to Assassin's Creed there. Climbing the bird tower, opening up new missions on the map, and then jumping off. Except this time, you're not going into a haystack, you're just flipping to the ground, and there's no falling damage, which is excellent. You'll also notice there that a prompt pops up every time I vault something. It's a pretty good window to do it. Every time you hit a jump or a vault, it gives you like a second or two to hit A, and it gives you a running boost. Now, the arrow control, like with the bow, is very, very twitchy. These first few shots in this video, I totally miss, because it's very difficult to aim. And that kind of leaves me to some of my gripes with this. Some of the reasons why I wasn't a huge fan the first half hour of gameplay when I first started. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about the controls. The camera is nowhere near as smooth as it is in Assassin's Creed. It's one of my biggest pet peeves when games have look acceleration or different y-axes speed than the x-axis. In this game, you can adjust your camera sensitivity and your aim sensitivity, none of which can be modified by X or Y. The up and down is slower than the left and right, is what I'm saying, regardless of how you have it set. And it takes a little getting used to. And also, after playing so many days worth of Assassin's Creed in the last, like, 5 years or so, you kind of got used to running with the R trigger. And it kind of bothered me in Assassin's Creed, because I always felt like I should be able to toggle the button. Because why would you ever just walk? I do like how this game actually has sneaking and shit. I wish Assassin's Creed had that instead of just slow walking. But it's annoying because R trigger doesn't run in this game, it crouches. And the control's really good with the crouching because you can hold R to crouch and then hold R and A to run while crouching, and I do it later on in this video. But the one thing that kind of bothered me is chances are you're going to be running from point A to point B unless you're, fast traveling using these towers. Now, if you hold A, you're not naturally going to be taking your right thumb off the right analog stick, so you can't control the camera. Here, you'll notice I do control the camera while holding A because I bring my index finger up to do it. It's an awkward motion. One good thing, though, that this game does to alleviate that issue is it auto pans the camera behind your character. So if you're just holding A while moving forward with the left analog stick, it will automatically center the camera behind your guy. And here my cousin was talking to me. I was messaging him on Skype earlier after I got home from work, and he just goes all AFK for a while, and I don't hear from him. So here there's a little bit of a Skype spam, and then once the cutscene starts, because I'm about to go do a story mission, then it stops, I promise. But yeah, despite these control annoyances, the game feels really good. And it's got really great feedback on the melee combat. So it's got a lot to do. Off the bat, I didn't think the game was going to be big. It seemed like a fairly small overworld. But I've heard that the map that's actually in the minimap screen is only half of what you actually get to see. And once you start scaling some of these environments and running through the fields, you'll notice how big it really is. As far as the story, I'm going to talk about that because we're watching this cutscene. It's not very interesting. It's definitely nowhere near as exciting as games like The Fellowship of the Ring or The Twin Towers, Return of the King. It's not a story you're going to care about. However, I will mention that the voice acting is top-notch. It's absolutely incredible. It's movie quality, if not better. There's a lot of emotion into the voice acting. You will care about the characters, but not so much so that if they were to die off, you'd really feel bad. It's really worth noting that the voice acting's nuts. It's just really well done. It's well executed. The lip syncing's okay. It's hit and miss. But it's like I said, as far as the overall story, you're not going to care all that much. Here's one of the story missions in the game, and you're going to be following this guy around. And for this mission, you're just going around and collecting plants. Why are you collecting plants? I have no idea. But it's a really good idea when you first get this to not do what I did and start attacking things to learn the combat. I tried to do it because I just didn't think that it'd be a good idea to jump into these missions and get my ass kicked, but in the long run I got my ass kicked. What you want to do is start the game doing the first maybe, I'm going to say between 4 and 6 story missions, and you gain a lot of your beginning abilities from story missions only, and your ability points, or skill points, whatever they're called, you can't use that to unlock those initial abilities. You gotta wait till you get them in the story. Now, you're gonna get them fairly early on in the first few hours, so I suggest doing story missions first, so your character gets better and he's not totally useless. When you first start playing, you're only gonna know how to, I think, deflect. You eventually learn how to hit the A button and jump over their back, sort of like you're used to in Batman. You learn some different executions, and you can get crazy abilities. Like you could ride Caragors, which are those big boars. You can get stealth kills from a high elevation. And as far as like runes and things, you can apply buffs to your weapon, like attack power, or give yourself some health if you get a headshot, things of that nature. It's got a lot going on with this game. Although you can't pick up weapons from enemies, there's just so much you can do with the current arsenal. It's so expansive. And the Nemesis system is definitely worth a huge mention. I mean, it's a big part of this game. What it is when you go up against certain enemies, there'll be a mini cutscene where it shows them, like, talking shit or whatever. Like, oh, I'm going to kill you, you're crap. And then you finally kill him or something, and then he'll come back with a scar on his face. Or let's say you shot him with a fire arrow, he'll come back with burns. Or if you die by his hands, he'll go up in the rankings. And it's really to be determined if it's a good idea to have enemies move up in the ranks, because they're obviously stronger and they have a lot more backing. The enemies like to attack each other throughout the game, so I haven't seen too much of it. They like to kill each other. So what you want to do is demoralize Sauron's army. That's like the overall goal. I heard it's a good idea to get some enemies to be promoted to like war chiefs and captains and stuff, because you get better runes and more experience from killing them. But naturally it's harder, and they have a little team backing them up. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You kind of want to strategize so that you're not putting yourself through too much pain. You want to make sure that you keep your enemies close, but at the same time far away. What's really cool is you can actually see where they are on the map, and if you want to go kill them, you can. And if you choose to let them build themselves up in the ranks, you can do that too. That Nemesis system is only available on next-gen consoles and PC. It actually didn't make the PS3 and 360 versions. And that's really cool, because you're used to just having higher texture resolution or good graphics. But with this, that's actually a whole like game system based around artificial intelligence that's auto-generating in the background, and all that's happening while you're playing. And that's only possible on these next-gen consoles, and it's just really cool that that's there, because that's just a big chunk of the game being taken away if you play it on previous-gen platforms. As far as the graphics are concerned, I gotta say it doesn't look that good. From what you're looking at now at night, I'd say the game looks better at night, especially when it's raining. It's got really good rain effects and sheen and shine on your character and weapons. And as far as the audio, everything sounds really good. From the sound of your weapon getting unsheathed to putting it back to slashing things and that gushy sound when you stab somebody in the back of the head. It's really, really good. That's what I was saying before. It's got really good feedback. But overall, the graphics aren't that great, especially during the day. You'll notice it. A lot of the grounds aren't really textured, so it looks kind of muddy, and it almost sometimes looks almost like last gen. It looks really I don't want to say dated, because that kind of makes it sound poor. But there is a lot going on. There are a lot of enemies on screen at some points. I've never had a hiccup with this game. I know on the Xbox One it doesn't run at 1080p. I believe it's like 900p. But I don't think it really matters that much. There's this HD texture pack you can actually download for the PC, but apparently it doesn't make it look all that different. This game is really just about building up your character and just enjoying the Nemesis system and seeing how funny it is when you run into these Uruks and Orcs and these war chiefs as they like remember your battles from the past, or remembered when they finally took you out, and now they're like talking more shit like, oh, how did you come back? And it's just really cool to experience that. I got to see a lot of it at the beginning. Last few missions I haven't. In this video you're not going to see it, but it is there. It's going on in the background. The enemies are on the map, and you could choose to go kill them if you want, or you can just let them rise in the ranks and then try to farm the higher level runes. So it's a really cool game. The stealth feels really good. It takes a little while to get used to the camera control, like I said. It's disappointing that it's so awkward at first. But overall, it's a really fun game. It's extremely addicting. It's got one of those, just one more mission type of feelings to it, just because you want to keep getting experience and leveling up. And it's not really a game about seeing new things. As far as environments are concerned, a lot of this game just seems to be open fields and mountains and stuff. It's really not about that. It's about just hearing the characters communicate and killing a bunch of stuff and getting new abilities. That's where the fun comes from this game. So, is it worth a purchase? Absolutely. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I definitely pick this game up. It's damn good. Before I go, we're going to take a look at the upgrade menu here. Those are all the upgrades you can apply, and those are where you apply runes. I'm actually going to apply another little upgrade here. More elf arrows, of course I need that. And then I'm going to show you a quick little showing here of the mini-map, and then, okay, yeah, this is the Nemesis system. So yeah, you'll definitely enjoy it. I definitely would say pick it up. It's awesome. Thanks for watching.